So now with all of the Overlord showcases concluded, it's time to finally rank all of them and see how well each of them do and who is the best character from this entire crossover. We had some really standout characters this time around, and a lot of units are performing extremely well. But this is the list right here. Very simple list. We got 1 through 7, and we're not going to go in any particular order here, but why not start out with one of the new characters, Demiurge. I'm gonna be honest, this guy's about as effective as a wet noodle in a sword fight. He doesn't really have a place in the meta, and what he's trying to do doesn't really seem useful in any type of way. He's just making it to where your team is hitting harder and it's able to scale in long form content. Well, when it comes to any type of long form content, it's hard to even slot this guy onto the team. If we had 5 unit slots, I could see people justifying using Demi, and I would even justify using this character. You wouldn't really be losing anything, you would just be gaining from that situation. Of course, some people may make the argument that his true art is very solid, being able to give yourself 100% status res and also a barrier, which yeah, I'll agree, it is pretty good, but everything else in the kit just seems so lackluster, and I'm not really into this unit whatsoever, so we are putting this unit in 6. Let's do one of the OGs this time. We're going to be doing Shaltir. Now, Shaltir got some major damage buffs this time around. When she first came out, she was still really good, like with her DPS and everything, but it definitely wasn't performing to the way that a lot of people would have hoped, especially considering what we got right after, which was Fate, and we got like Saber Altar, and Saber Altar just was blowing everything up in front of her. But now with her most recent buff, they made it to where her true art actually went up to 110,000, which if you have the clone out, technically that's now 220,000. Plus she has the crit damage buff and everything else, so she's hitting extremely hard. She's doing a lot of damage, and she's just a very strong magic attacker. However, that's where the utility of this unit ends. She is just a damage dealer, and how we always say in literally every single tier list video, especially when it comes to crossover tier lists, if you're just an attacker and you're not doing anything else, well, you're probably, unfortunately, the worst unit in the crossover. And that's not saying that, like, you're a bad character, just in terms of, like, usability, how future-proof you are. If you're a damage dealer, you're one of the worst units in the crossover because you're the easiest to get power crept, and we have so many damage dealers in the game. Why would I have to worry about getting another one? Completely on the flip side here, what about Evil Eye? Evil Eye is one of the new characters here, and she is a support unit that is actually doing a lot of stuff. If you actually have the true weapon on this character, you're getting 100 arc gauge right off the bat, which makes her just insanely good since you can use her true weapon, get that 100 arc gauge, then, you know, just use other characters' equips or whatever to get her up to 300 arts, use her super art, boom, everybody already has ridiculous amounts of arch gen, a magic damage buff, and you're just going off just like that. The only issue that I have with Evil Eye is the fact that there's not too many earth magic characters in the game at the moment. I mean, if you consider the awoken characters, you know, we have a bit more that we can use, but in terms of ascended characters, even the ones on JP, we don't really have a lot of options. That meta isn't necessarily forming yet, but when that meta does, Evil Eye is going to be the best character to use in those team comps. However, she's still insanely good as a earth support character. She's insanely good in other teams. She gives damage rest to everybody, arch gen, magic damage buffs. Like, you can't really go wrong with this character. The only time you would go wrong with her is that if you're running 2 crossover arch gen type characters on the same team, like her and Ainz or something, because their arch gen doesn't stack, or if you're like double dipping with like her and Star God Lisa, because Star God Lisa's damage buff and her damage buff actually doesn't stack. But even with all that being said, I will say Evil Eye is easily number 2 from this crossover. Another amazing support character from this crossover is going to be Gamma. Gamma is doing a ton of stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. She's able to buff up your arch damage by 200% if you're the leader, giving you damage res as well. Also, she has a magic res buff on the art and burst arch gen as well. Magic res down on the super art, you get 50 art gauge if you're a demon. Like, there's so much going on with this unit that is just so freaking good, man. It's hard to be like, yeah, you know, she's kind of trash. Like, no, she's not. She's not trash in any universe. Not to mention too, this character has insane viability when it comes to raid nukers. You know, all my raiders out there, you all probably know how good it is to just use Gamma to buff up a singular unit like your nuker, for an example, to Kingdom Come. Oh, and the slots, I'm absolutely in love with them. Outside of nuking though, this character does kind of fall off a bit, but she's still usable, especially against like magic bosses and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, great unit overall. Not really much else to say here. Very strong, able to do her job, and that's why I'm putting Gamma surprisingly at number 3, which means the next character that is all about damage buffing, Momon, is easily number 4. Momon is a character that came into the game, and everybody already knew this guy was going to be broken. He literally makes everyone go crazy. If you haven't seen the video of me using Momon, definitely check it out. It's absolutely wild how much damage he's able to help units deal. The main negative with this guy is mainly his positional mechanic. The fact that he has to only rely on people being on his right is a little bit of a negative, because in multiplayer it really sucks, since if you're playing and you join last in the multiplayer lobby, well, only he's going to get the 250% damage buff and no one else will. If you're playing in raids and you want him to buff up your nuker in raids, you have to meticulously plan out that and make sure that whoever you're nuking with is on the right of Momon. So it's a little bit more effort to make sure that he works, but still very solid. Really, the man can do a lot in terms of DPS. I mean, any type of nuke you want to throw Momon in there and he's going to go crazy, especially in Mono Dark Demon. My God, he's going to go wild. That's like the only team that he would be able to successfully sustain in as well, since he has a defense slot and Mono Dark Demon just has so much healing and everything going on that him being so offensive focused isn't necessarily a bad thing in that team. Outside of Mono Dark Demon though, he's mainly just a damage buffing character, and that's it. He's pretty restrictive on who he wants to be on a team with, since his super art does scale with demon units. And he's only able to deal regular critical damage. He's not able to super crit. If you need DPS, you're probably better off using a different type of character. But if you want someone to buff up your DPS character, hey, look no further than the man Momon. Let's go on ahead and talk about the character that is probably slept on the most in this crossover. And I don't really see a lot of people ever talk about her, but my God, does this character just do her job? And that's Albedo. Albedo was actually the last character I showcased from this crossover, and she is fantastic. She has so much damage res in the kit with the true art, with the super art as well. If you're on a demon team, even better. You're getting more damage res and more damage with her art. With her defense slot, she's even able to provide more damage res, and she has just a lot of usability. If you didn't manage to get Shiro Emiya, you weren't around for Shiro Emiya, getting Albedo is like the next best thing. Of course, she's not going to be able to completely replace Shiro Emiya, because at times Shiro just does her job a bit better, but in mono demon setups, let's say you're running Dark Demon or you just want to run a demon team, use Albedo, and Albedo will always outshine Shiro Emiya in those situations. Not to mention too, since she is a Dark Demon, she's on one of the best teams in the game, which is Mono Dark Demon. Yeah, that team is stupid. Which means the #1 spot, everyone saw this coming, is the boy Ainz. Ainz, I mean, what can you say about this man, right? He's still the best support character from Overlord. People were thinking that Evil Eye may take his place, but nah, I already knew. I always knew. I was a firm believer that Evil Eye is not taking this man Ainz's place. Ainz just offers so much. He gives you 4 arts per second, crit res down on the true art. If you're a demon, you're getting an additional 2 arts per second, so 6 arts in total. The super art gives you so much critical damage. If you're a dark unit, you get even more critical damage. The art's able to reduce the enemy's fire res and dark res. The skill even has a freaking magic res down on it, because why not? Yes, a lot of self-sustaining arts gen too due to his passive, which as long as he's above a certain HP threshold, he's getting tons of art gauge. Really, the only thing that's ever held Ainz back, still to this day, and this is the only issue this unit really has, is his animation speed. And it's mainly just his animation speed on his true art. His true art applying the crit res down debuff is insanely strong, but it is a debuff, meaning that he needs to hit the enemy before that debuff is actually applied. Characters like Sunraku don't have this problem, because Sunraku's true art does apply crit res down as well, but his true art is instantaneous pretty much. Ainz's true art is not instantaneous. He has to sit there, do his little dance, look kind of cute, and then use his true art, which I think is just kind of stupid. Of course, I know it's for like lore purposes, it's accurate and everything. He has to buff himself up or whatever before he did that. I understand that it was in the anime, but screw the anime right now. I'm talking about gameplay. If we ever get a unit that speeds up animation speeds, which would absolutely break the game, I don't know if they would ever do that. But if that is a thing at some point, Ainz will be one of the characters that will benefit the most from that unit. And personally, Ainz is just going to stand the test of time. I know we all say that Ainz is going to get replaced by Dark Rosetta once Dark Rosetta comes out from Mono Dark Demon. It's kind of true, but at the same time, it's not really. If you manage to not get Dark Rosetta, it's really not the end of the world that you still have to use Ainz instead of Dark Rosetta. But Ainz is still giving your team more art gauge. He's giving a crit res down debuff when everyone on that team buffs up crit rate. And he's just able to kind of support the team, I would say, a little bit better than just giving your team tons and tons of damage numbers. I guess that's one of the things I hate the most about gacha games, especially about GS. When it comes to units and teams and everything, it's usually just all about who's hitting bigger numbers, and that's it. But yeah, Ainz is definitely going to be standing the test of time. If you got this man, you could use him on Mono Dark Demon for practically the end of time. Unless you get Dark Rosetta, then you probably want to use Dark Rosetta over him, but you know, that's even still personal preference. This is the tier list this time around. This is who we got in each of the tiers, and yeah, the new characters definitely left a mark. Momon being insanely strong in raid nukes, alongside Evil Eye also being able to be crazy in support. The buffs to Gamma and also Albedo and Shaltir and even Ainz were all fantastic. Heavens forbid whenever you consider that some of these guys actually work together extremely well, like putting Momon and Gamma on the same team, which means that you'd be able to create a nuker that looks so insane, deals so much damage, they would make Vault-Tec look like saints. So yeah, lots of team comps these characters can fit in, lots of damage being thrown out, and I love it. The crossover was really great this time around. Very strong units came out of this crossover, and yeah, overall, just fantastic. Of course, the next big crossover to come out to Grand Summers Global will be Kill la Kill, and we'll also be doing this type of tier list for Kill la Kill as well. But ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all again for coming out. It's been your boy OP. If you enjoyed this video, remember to check out either one of the other videos posted on the screen right now. Great content, guarantee you'll love them. Oh, and one more thing before you leave, don't forget to drink water.